good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Game Week 21 pod of the FPL Wire. I'm your host, Zoph'a, and after 84 years, we finally have a full house. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Late Riser and Pras. Game Week 16 since we podded together, lads. I had a J.R. Bachchan K3G moment when you connected on Zoom, Pras. How are you doing? Welcome back.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you guys and to everybody listening. It's been a while, and even if it's not that long in time, it's very long in FPL because Game Week 16 is like we were talking. Is it Game Week 20 now or 21? It's flown by the last few weeks, and I've come back like one of those warriors that have lost the battle but still have punches on their face and bleeding through their mouth because things have not improved. But otherwise, all good. How have you guys been?
We've been good. You guys
Same
have a
as you,
new
Pras.
manager. We have to talk about that. Friday we pod. Oh, new manager for LR. Monday we pod. Oh, new manager for LR.
and what a similar sort of story anyway, right? Like after the press conference, I remember texting you. I was like, I think Amarim's gone all Maresca. I don't know if this is going to last anymore, etc. And the writing was, it came as a little bit of a shock because it's not something United do. But seeing Chelsea do something like this more often, you're sort of, okay, this is how this happens where, like we're not being terrible. We're still like 3 points off fourth. The results are better than last year. Nobody's blaming Amarim for doing shit without Bruno, Bumo, Ahmad, Mount. I mean, we have the Fletcher kids on our bench, and that's the only possible option that we can do. But it is what it is. This whole mess is obviously Ineos initiated, in my opinion. If they were not going to follow up and invest strongly in a formation which is a 3-4-3, 3-5-2 formation, which they knew at the top, then they shouldn't have hired Amarim if he wasn't going to be flexible, because Amarim stated that since the beginning. But here we are. The one thing I will say though is I feel much better in terms of when Ten Hag left us. I felt like our squad was in doldrums, etc., and things weren't looking like they were going to be positive anytime soon. Here we've not overcommitted to the shape. Cunha, Bumos, Lamens, and Sesko, the 4 buys in the summer, are sort of suitable to both shapes as well. And they're generally upgrades on the people that we've lost as well. So I don't feel too pessimistic. And I'm like, the fourth is still there for the taking. Hopefully Fletch does something and the interim manager does something.
Russ, your thoughts?
I just think, look, there's two sides to this. I completely agree with LR on the future. I think the future is much better than it was when other managers left. So they're fully aligned. In terms of the blame game, this is like you are watching a divorce happening. You don't know who said what, right? Maybe Amorim said in the summer that give me 200 million, I'll be more flexible, I'll buy flex players, and then he's not doing it. Or Ineos said that, look, we'll give you this money on this condition or whatever. So I just can't blame anyone. It's just one of those things where things have worked out. What both parties have done smartly is progress the club. And I think that has happened well, which is what we have taken as a leaf out of Chelsea's book. Whenever Chelsea lose their manager, they don't lose the momentum in terms of how they're growing, how they're developing. They continue to do well. New guy comes in, they finish fourth. They win the league. Like, we've done it for 10 years now. So I think that's a good thing that we've learned, where you don't start from zero. Maybe new money comes in, you buy a couple of midfielders, and it's not that bad actually, no matter who comes in.
FPL wise, I think it can only be good for us because we've been clamoring for Bruno in a more attacking role. We've been clamoring for more defensive solidity. I don't think it can really get much worse than it was under Amorim. Do you guys agree with that?
Bruno at the number 10 is going to be golden if Fletch plays in there. And that's just 2 games. We don't even know who the interim manager is going to be. But I reckon it might be somebody who plays a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1.
It definitely won't be someone who plays a back 3, because people were talking about Glasner. I think anyone who plays a back 3 is going to be removed from the shortlist. We can assume that.
The murmurs are not quiet though on Glasner. Just before coming on, I was reading about that as well.
I mean, everyone and their dog is going to be linked with the job now. That's how it rolls.
Yeah. Yep. Glasner, by the way, unknown fact, before his Palace stint, he didn't use a 3 at the back. So he's known to be a flexible thing. It's more a horses or courses approach for the state of the club Palace was.
Makes sense. And Pras, how's FPL going for you?
Is this a loaded question, Zoff?
No, just a general question.
I mean, you know what? after 4 weeks or 5 weeks, I have one of these weeks where it just is so bad. Like yesterday afternoon, it's like, you get slapped when Thiago scores once. Then you get slapped again when some other guy that you don't own scores again. And then you get a last kick in the boot when Nico O'Reilly concedes in the 94th minute when he's on a 9-pointer. So it was like one of those days. But I have to say, I've had about 5 of them this season out of 20 game weeks because it happens every 4 weeks. Like the game week Pedro scored that 15-pointer, the game week Semenyo scored that 20-pointer, the week I didn't captain Haaland and he went mad and I didn't have Foden either. So I can remember these. So it's like, yeah, we go again.
Don't worry, Pras, you have me for company. This year.
Ask a question. A lot of us, man, listening. A lot of people you see on our Discord, a lot of people on the chat, and a lot of the replies today. I put my Q&A question out, and most of the people asking, why should I play this game anymore? So that's pretty much the most asked question. So it's been a bit of a frustrating period, I guess, in general. The whole last 3 to 4 game weeks and the last pod I was mentioning to LR has been mostly quantity over quality. And that's led to a little bit of results being unpredictable. Also, you see Everton 2 clean sheets, get beaten at home to Brentford. They score 4, who pretty much done nothing on the road all season. Is very hard
we
to
did
predict.
call that Everton clean sheet was jammy. They didn't deserve to keep
the last
that team
few clean sheets. We looked at the numbers. The big chances are all over the place. But then you have Thiago, who I think didn't score in the last 6 games prior to that.
6.
Great hat trick.
It's like, in FPL, what you can do is you can pick players who have a good fixture run. And if that doesn't work out, then after that fixture run ends, and Liverpool is a prime example of this, then you're like, oh shit, I have a worse team and I've lost points to the people who held on, players who didn't go for it. So Ekitike, Thiago is that perfect example. People who had transfers and wanted to be aggressive, they see Leeds at home, Wolves at home as 2 fixtures, nailed Ekitike and go, you know what, I'll go for it because it needs a couple of transfers, but I've got transfers, I want to be aggressive. Doesn't work. Somebody who said, you know what, I'll play a little bit more conservatively, I don't need to chase, they kept Thiago. So there is, in this thing, there is no right or wrong answer. Some people try to be aggressive. Some people try to say, you know what, I'll hold my transfer. It doesn't work and doesn't work out. Like if you think about Newcastle, people said, okay, I'm going to go for Gordon. So unlucky yesterday. Like he could have scored. He could have had that 17-pointer that other people had. Didn't happen.
He was more onside than words.
Yeah. So this is all you can do after playing years and years of playing FPL it is what it is, man. Like it happens all the time. All you can hope is in the remaining 17 game weeks that 2 or 3 times it happens for you and your decisions and not the other side. And that's all you can do.
I'll still say one thing for those that are in the boat of why are we playing this game, etc. Shout out to Planned FPL James. You need to hit a game week like that where I think he had Bruno Guimaraes, he had Declan Rice, he had Malik Theo. All of them are fairly decent differentials
Thiago.
and good. And Thiago. They're decent picks, fairly decent differentials. You will hit one of those weeks, and that's the benefit of, I think, in the game right now, there isn't a strong template. Everybody is moving around loosey picks where, like Saka's been teasing a haul but hasn't given it yet. It might come in the 1-2 weeks. He's still 30% owned. You might hit 1 or 2 of those weeks, which might lead to a big jump in rank. Somebody in our Discord recently, in 2 game weeks, moved from 2 million to 300k. In 2 game weeks. So, that sort of thing is also possible, where you've been getting unlucky, you could hit a week with 3 or 4 of your differentials who's been knocking on the door. Just hit it and then you'll fly. So be patient, all I'll say.
But the randomness also you have to look at it. Like, for example, Bruno Guimaraes, he's had 6 goals at home this season. Guess how many shots in the box he's had in all St. James Park matches?
He doesn't shoot from inside the box anyway.
6 shots in the box entirely. 6 goals. Most of them obviously not from the box. But for example, Declan Rice, we were looking at the table last year, not in the top 20 XGI for all attacking players. 17-pointer. He wasn't even supposed to play. Swelling on the knee, etc., and whatnot.
Yeah. One thing I'll start suggesting to people, who get affected by something like this is stop exposing yourself to so many FPL managers. I feel like that helps. Like I'm not been as active on Twitter as I have been previously in terms of, so you don't know who's hit what, etc. And if you're really exposing yourself to the whole spectrum of managers, everybody's going to hit something. Like focus on a mini league or 2 that you really want to target from a competitive point of view. Focus on that and see where that goes. Don't, because otherwise you'll keep feeling bad because there's too many good players out there.
Avoid falling into that trap, LR.
But Zoff, you're doing well. I mean, you're obviously helping and listening to us, but you're having a good season. So tell us how things have gone for you more recently.
That's good, man. Knock on wood, small, steady gains since game week 9. I was at about 2.5 billion and about 220k now. It's been steady since that. No big gains, just been moving along with the template. And again, the points have been in defense. Ever since I moved to a back four, I've just found it much easier to navigate.
Yeah. And what's worked in his favor, I'll say this about Zoff, is patience, man. Like I remember from back in the day, on his wildcard, he decided, you know what, I don't like any of the picks up front. I'll hold Munoz, got him points. I remember when all of us were looking to sell Enzo and Semenyo. That was like a point where Zoff and my team sort of pivoted. I moved to Cunha and Bumo. He held Semenyo and Enzo, and that sort of worked in terms of just being patient in general. So that's worked in his favor. There's a lesson to be learned there.
Yeah,
just been lucky, man. Just staying with the template, small gains, and just you remember, Pras, in game week 9 when we discussed the wildcard, you mentioned that the team doesn't require any transfers, and that effectively has led me to the position where I could save 4 to 5 transfers, and then the 5 free transfers, I've been able to use it a bit more meticulously rather than blow most of them. So that's really where I think it's made a difference. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about this week. Let's get started.
As always,
we were
all
going
the
to do the
data.
other one first, no? So we were going to do the offer first.
I forgot. There we go.
No worries. So we will start with this first. This is the last, or pretty much the last time we'll sort of plug this, because we have extended the 66% off offer until the deadline of the game tomorrow. So essentially game week 21. So you have 24 hours or a little bit over 24 hours. If you would like it, and I will repeat what it is it's 66% off the first month if you join our Patreon on patreon.com/the FPL Wire. You get access to our Discord, you get access to everything else that comes with it. You get to try it, you see how you like it. It's £2, and that's what we wanted to extend, because we got some great new members on our Discord in December. So we thought, why not give everybody one last chance if you're thinking about it.
As always, all the data that you see on this podcast is from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. There's a lot of useful data on the board today. If you do want to become a member, scan the QR code or click in the link in the description below.
But guys, let's have a look at the agenda for today. First up is going to be the Ekitike topic. Keep or sell, what's the injury timeline for the Frenchman? Thiago, do we buy him back? If you already sold him, of course. Arsenal, we talk about Gabriel, Timber, Rice, Saka, Rea. Whether you need to do the shuffling, who are the players you should target. Villa, Rodgers and Watkins. Newcastle, attack and defense. They still have a few good fixtures worth attacking in the short term. Possible upcoming fixture swings and wildcard windows. Weekend results and captaincy, and early spoiler alert, one of us is potentially considering using his wildcard. We shall leave that for a little bit later. Okay, guys, first up, let's discuss about the Ekitike. No, let's look at this first. And this is what I was talking about, right? The biggest source of frustration for managers last year. Over 1 million FPL managers sold a 17-pointer this week. That's Rice and Thiago combined. I think you look at that number, 1.1 million transfers out.
I'm one of them.
You sold Thiago, right?
Yeah, it's all thing. The pain wasn't that bad because Gabriel got a 9-pointer, so the difference was 8 points. So at least that little bit of it's not like, oh, it's like a 17-point loss. Thankfully, Gabriel did something, so 8-point swing doesn't feel like the worst.
It's been brutal, man. And especially with Rice, because we were on this podcast last week saying, oh, it's a good opportunity now. You can sell Rice for Gabriel.
You saved our rank, man.
Right, so hold up. Let's read out this Ekitike one. This is really small. I'm going to enlarge it. So it's interesting now, right? So first up, DOM stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. Anyone who's been in the gym knows that after you do a hard workout, you're sore for a couple of days after. So this is Slott's quote in the post-match rather than the pre-match. He said, we were hoping it was only DOMs and then we could have used him maybe as a sub. But unfortunately, we saw a little bit more and then you cannot take a risk. Wirtz had the same last week, and when we put him in an MRI scan, there was only DOM, so he didn't have anything. But he is also experiencing this program for the first time, and if I don't have that many players, would do like to have the ones that continue playing, etc., etc. But over here, it's very clear that there's something more than DOMs. He found something a bit more than a scan, which is why they didn't want to take a risk. And Fulham is a game they obviously would have targeted winning. If there was something minor, then maybe he would have kept Ekitike on the bench at least. The fact that he was completely out of the squad means we really need to wonder whether he's going to start Arsenal, which is only 2 days later. Now, all three of us here own Ekitike, and we would like to obviously maybe keep him for the fixture after. But the tricky thing is we're also rolling now with low quality of subs. A lot of us have Richards, Rodon, and Guiu. What do we do in that situation, Pras? What are you thinking?
Hope and pray. I mean, that's all I will say. Look, once you've made your bed, everything suggests that it is something minor. Most people or many people are not even expecting much from the Arsenal game, or you don't even have to play him. Like he's not that essential for this Arsenal game. I think the worry is that he plays Arsenal and then he misses Burnley. But I think in terms of fixture gap, when is the Arsenal game? Let me
I'll just load
up.
the fixture gap. Pras, it's quite generous. As such, Arsenal game is on Thursday. They just played
Thursday,
on Sunday.
8th. And then they play 17th Jan, which is against Burnley, right?
In the middle of that, they have the FA Cup game, and then they have a free midweek between the FA Cup and Burnley.
Hopefully he misses the FA Cup game. So from that point of view, you really want to hit Burnley, right? I mean, I have been here so many times this season where I have got an asset that is not doing well, and then I've got home to Burnley. I've been there with Watkins. I was there with Minte. I'm now here with Ekitike and Szoboszlai again. And so the same question keeps coming up. Do you hold something that is not going well, or do you stay patient for Burnley at home? It's actually that exact fixture, Burnley at home, for all three of them. And both of the other times I held, for Watkins didn't do anything. Minte got injured. And so we'll see with Ekitike, if Ekitike also gets injured before Burnley at home. But my suggestion is, unless you have many transfers, and not many people are rolling with 3-4 transfers, I think you probably just hold. Unless you're wildcarding. Obviously, you won't have Ekitike on wildcard.
So the tricky part we should mention, because of the game being on a Thursday, we might not get a press conference for Liverpool. The deadline is on Tuesday, so most likely the Liverpool press conference will be on the Wednesday. We will be going a little bit blind into that. Now, there's pretty much all three possibilities that exist today for Ekitike. He could start. He could be on the bench. Maybe, if he's carrying a bit of a problem, bring him on for the last 20 minutes to have some sort of impact, or he could be left out of the squad altogether. You can't really rule out any of these three possibilities at the moment. I think we'd all be guessing. I don't think even Slot knows for sure right now. He'd have to see how Ekitike responds to training. And the fact that he's right now pretty much that only centre forward. Today, if Ekitike picks up a major problem, they're in trouble. So I think he has to be a bit more cautious with MLR than usual.
I mean, yeah, but we just don't know what the extent of the injuries at the moment. It's all a little bit of presumption at our end. Now, whether you make a move or not comes down to replacement value. Right now, what are the options that we have available? Ideally, it looks like United could switch to a 4-3-3, so you need to save up funds for a potential Bruno in if Bruno is playing as the number 10, and Palmer is the other target. So we're looking at expensive midfielders as potential targets. That means that if there is an opportunity, we want to go down from Ekitike. If you're going down, the standout striker is DCL, who's got Newcastle away, which is one of the toughest away games of the season. And is that something you want to move for right now immediately? I'm not quite sure about that. Do you want to even move for Bruno immediately? Because yes, he's got a decent fixture this week if he plays Burnley and if he's fit. But after that, they've got City and Arsenal. So you can wait out and give Ekitike Burnley and Bournemouth, which are both decent games. It's just not the Burnley game. Even the Bournemouth game is decent for Ekitike. So you can make that switch in 24 if you feel like making that switch. The only like-for-like switch that might pay dividends immediately, if your squad structure so supports it, is Ollie Watkins. Because if you believe that Ollie Watkins is back and looks in form, which he does, by the way, he looks really, really good. Such a well-taken goal. And if you have 3 or 4 transfers in your bank, like if you're somebody like me who's got just 1 free transfer, I'm not sure if I'd switch to Ollie Watkins right now immediately, unless you have firm belief that, okay, he's the striker I want to bet on. He's going to go on a run right now because he's a streaky player and he's got a decent run of fixtures where he's got Palace, a very poor Everton defense, then Newcastle, then Brentford at home. You go for it. Will I go back to Thiago right now? No. I think he's got one decent fixture in Sunderland. After that, the fixtures for Thiago look pretty bad in my opinion. Chelsea, Forest, Villa, Newcastle, Arsenal, Brighton. I think the ship has sailed when it comes to Thiago. So if you made a bet selling Thiago, let it go. So I'm of the opinion that try holding it or switch to, Watkins if you feel like. Outside of that, if you're downgrading, then wait.
I mean, let's talk Thiago first. That's why most people are thinking going back now. I think you can look at it both ways, right? You can look at Thiago as a guy pretty much that I can set and forget. this guy pretty much at Brentford get a big chance. He's going to be at the end of it, and they will get at least a few big chances against Chelsea, Villa, and Newcastle. Not too many, I accept that, but 6.9 guy, a guy who plays 90 minutes on penalties, it could be very similar to Chris Wood last year. There's somebody you just stick and forget.
It's very important to contextualize this because Everton were abysmal. The amount of space they gave Thiago was insane. And it's worth mentioning that like I won Thiago for these 6 blanks. He didn't do much. And he didn't even look like he was doing much. Whereas, and on top of that, there were murmurs about his fitness being an issue. I was even surprised he started the game where, he looks like he's on his last legs. He's playing with some pain, etc. So I'm not quite sure going there with this tough run of fixtures is the answer. I feel like you let him go. Take him on.
I understand that. I was just looking at the other side of it because you can look at him as a set and forget potentially also, Pras.
Yeah, you can. But I think the structure that people are going to head towards or increasingly is going to be like 4-5-1 or 5-4-1, something like that. So in that context, you want as cheap as possible. And Thiago's fine. Penalty taking forward under 7 million is fine. But do you want more than fine is the question. And I think there are cheap strikers like DCL you've talked about. Mane, I'm sure he was going to get a mention as well for Wolves. He started the last 3, got a goal and assist last game.
Yes.
And for 4.5, pretty good option, right? There's an added bonus that he may even have a double in Gameweek 26. So sounds pretty good for a 4.5 million striker.
Since you mentioned the doubles, Pras, why don't you elaborate a bit more on that? Who might have the potential doubles and what does it depend on?
It's the Carabao Cup. So the Carabao Cup final, whoever makes the Carabao Cup final, they will have a blank in Gameweek 31, right? So there are 2 fixtures, or the 2 fixtures that are a blank in Gameweek 31 need to be brought forward or played in later game weeks. So whoever makes the final, so Arsenal play Chelsea and Man City play Chelsea, Arsenal play?
No, Man City play Newcastle, Arsenal play Chelsea.
Yeah, correct. So if you are assuming that Man City win and Arsenal win, who would be the favorites going into those legs, then it will be either Arsenal Wolves that will be moved, or it will be Arsenal Wolves and Man City Crystal Palace. Those are the fixtures. Now, Crystal Palace's game cannot be brought forward because Crystal Palace are in the knockout games. You remember because they have not finished in the top 8 or whatever in the Conference League. So their game cannot be brought forward. So if Man City reach the final, their double will happen after 31. But Arsenal's can, because Arsenal will finish in the top 8, very likely to, in the Champions League. So their fixture can be in 25 or 26, and that will be against Wolves. So lots of ifs and buts, but Arsenal need to beat Chelsea first, finish in the top 8, and then Premier League need to be proactive, like last season, and say, because you're going to blank, then we're going to move your fixture forward. So long story short, probably only Arsenal Wolves is the game that falls into 25 or 26. There's a smaller chance that the Chelsea game could also fall if they beat Arsenal instead.
And this will all happen after the Carabao. Yeah, the timing is what I was asking as well. When will we know this?
After the first leg, maybe even before the second leg. If that's how it was last year. So we'll have to go back to the Lego Mane chart if you want to look at the exact dates.
That is. So the Carabao Cup semi-final second leg is between Gameweek 24 and 25. That becomes quite late. That becomes quite late if you have to wait till then.
Exactly. They'll have to do it proactively before. Remember last season, there was this thing of they need to win, then they will have a blank. Otherwise, you remember that?
The contingent 2x.
Contingency. Exactly. So we were all going into this assistant manager chip expecting Liverpool to win, but Tottenham could have also won. And had Tottenham won, then they would have had the double instead of Liverpool. That we'll have a similar situation this time where they might announce it provisionally that Chelsea or Arsenal could double. And that provisional announcement can come anytime after the first leg.
Got it. Cool. Thanks for that, Pras. And just getting back.
But the most important information here is that Man City Crystal Palace cannot double. That's the most important information. Because you can plan already to, for example, sell a Foden for a Bruno. Because that double cannot happen. So if you're looking at a path and Foden has really good next 3 games, and after that Foden's fixtures turn bad and Bruno's turn good, I'm already thinking in my team that that's a transfer that no matter what, I have to allocate 1 transfer for that.
So he starts, you can bench him because anyway, the fixture is Arsenal away. Even if he does start, you could say that, okay, he probably got a ceiling or maybe 1 goal. I'll ride him out. And even if he did start, we were not expecting much from him in the fixtures, the toughest defensive fixture in Europe, or you sell him. So let's look at Ekitike's long-term prospects now after this week and let's see how...
Screen is frozen, Zoph'a.
again. Hold up, let me have a look. The stream looks
Oh, it's
fine.
back.
Yeah,
I
stream
mean,
looks
lots of
fine.
people are saying scream issue in the
It
chat.
Lag, it's a
happens
lag.
every now and then, but I think
Okay.
we've caught up now.
Okay,
Either way.
sorry to interrupt. Okay.
No problem. So yeah,
It's back now.
so I was mentioning Ekitike, either you sell, start, or bench, the three scenarios. But let's look at his prospects now long term in terms of the schedule. Like we mentioned, after Arsenal, there's the FA Cup, and then they have a free midweek when they play Burnley. So given on the current information, where even if he potentially misses Arsenal, it's very likely he is back for the Burnley fixture. Then after that, they have two UCL games midweek. They have Marseille away between Burnley and Bournemouth, and then they have Karabakh between Bournemouth and Newcastle. Now, I think Ekitike, even long term, he might struggle to play 3 games a week, but Liverpool's position in the Champions League also, while it isn't poor, isn't that great. Do we think now he could be rotated for these Champions League games, or do we expect him to start now, let's say Burnley, Bournemouth, and Newcastle? I think that becomes a very pivotal question we need to answer when we consider keeping or selling him.
I mean, Liverpool are not in a luxury position in the league. Like, Champions League matters so much in the league at the moment, and if they're being realistic about their chances in the season, they're more likely to come fourth in the league compared to, let's say, win the Champions League this season, right? So I don't see them not prioritizing the league given their position in the league. So he's a little bit of a Saka, right? In terms of he tends to hobble, cramp at the end of games, etc. So we might see some 75, 80 minutes, but I'm not seeing benchings as such. He's just been their best attacker, and they will need him.
Russ, you agree? I think he does start the Premier League games. If you had to ask me if he starts the Premier League or the Champions League, it would be the former, I think.
I think so. But to be honest, I'm a little bit more short term with Ekitike. This was always the plan. I wanted to get Leeds, Wolves, and Burnley at home in 4 out of, and even Bournemouth, you can argue. So that was the plan. Obviously, the plan hasn't worked so far, but you got to stick with the plan as long as he's fit. But after that, I don't intend to keep him very long. He's a non-penalty taking striker, not getting 90 minutes. Not my guy at all. Like I went for him only because Isak got injured. Like a lot of things aligned for you to go, okay, I mean, the opportunity is there and FPL gifts you 5 free transfers and you go, oh, I need to be aggressive. But he's not my kind of striker that I want long term. And so the plan was always to sell him after Burnley or Bournemouth.
But I think we're
Also, just worth mentioning. Go on.
No, I was just saying, I think it sounds like we're all of the view that we want to give him at least the Burnley game.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people in the chat are asking if you hold Thiago, 100% you hold Thiago. There's no need to sell him. He's got a good fixture against Sunderland as well. And you hold him till you need to sell him to fund an upgrade in midfield, if at all you feel like funding an upgrade in midfield. It's just whether I would buy him again is the question. And I'm leaning towards not. If you are in the position, let's say if you have Ekitike and if you have maybe 3 or 4 free transfers, like you've accumulated transfers, then maybe you could move to Thiago. But if you have no surplus of transfers, just sitting with one, then I would wait to upgrade my midfield. That's where I am.
And we should mention why we're advocating that. Around Gameweek 24 is when we see a lot of fixture swings happening. Right now, a lot of squads are loaded up on Man City. We're loaded up on Newcastle, and we don't have any Chelsea or Manchester United. So just look at the fixtures over here from Gameweek 24. Manchester United have Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham, Everton, Palace, and Newcastle over that period, while Chelsea have West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley. You look at Man City's fixtures at that time, it's Tottenham away, Liverpool away, Fulham, Newcastle. Fixtures take a bit of a downturn there. Man City, still good, but then that's when you can potentially hop off Foden. And Game Week 24 was also good at this, I think, January 31st. So most of the AFCON guys, in fact, all of the AFCON guys will be back. The January transfer window will be more or less shut. And we'll have a better idea of these new managers, what system they're playing, what sort of personnel they're using. It's some sort of more of a bedding in period. So I think the transfers saving up for this period, I think, has a certain amount of value. Agree, Pras? What are you looking at in terms of potential windows?
100%. I think 24 is a major window. AFCON, Bruno, Palmer, so many reasons to save transfers. And the beautiful thing about it is you land there in 24 having saved transfers, and you can just go, you know what, I'll wildcard with 3 transfers or 4 transfers in hand. So then you can also navigate future uncertainty as and when it happens, because the counter argument for 24 will be, hey, but what about the future? You have bench boost to play, you have all these doubles and blanks to navigate. If you want to take your points now, I think it will be a safe window, because we can get into, I don't want to go too deep into future doubles, blanks and stuff, but actually this season, it should be a fairly smooth period, unless there's any postponements. Last season, remember, there was a snow postponement, which made things complicated. So far, we've had no snow postponements, even though, as it happens, it's going to snow in the UK this week. So we will see. It has been snowing actually, but it might even snow in London tomorrow. So there is going to be snow postponements, or there could be. So that is the only thing that you would want to wait. Otherwise, it's a very easy plannable season. We know the week when there will be a double game week. There will be two, and after game week 31, you know the week where there will be a big blank, and so you can plan a game week 24 wildcard, and that is actually something that when we get to the wildcard chat, we'll have a discussion when we look at a draft now. That do you really need to wildcard now? Can you wait till 24? Is something that people need to think about. But 24 is a massive window. I fully agree.
Also, I just wanted to add a little bit on Ekitike. Personally, I really rate him as a striker. I think he's had one off game. Outside of that, he's had like 5 or 6 shots in the other games. He's a very high volume shooter. You can see his NPXG data. He's top of the league for NPXG. He's just massive underlying. He's one of those strikers. He's Liverpool's best attacker. Everything he does is good in my opinion. So he's one of those strikers that, despite not having pens, has got a double return potential, because I just see him as an explosive guy. Like everything he does is good. And one thing is that we shouldn't make up our mind that we 100% want to sell him in, let's say, 24, because I just noticed the fixtures as well. In 24 and 25, he's got 2 tough fixtures, but they're 2 home games against Newcastle and Man City. After that, immediately, there's another nice run for Liverpool as well. They're getting Sunderland, Forest, West Ham and Fulhams. So just keep that in mind when you're making your long-term plans as well.
It's all performance dependent in 24. If he's fit and firing, Liverpool are looking good, he's fine to keep as well.
Exactly. The idea is which gear Arne Slot is in. Because he's right now in first or second gear. It decides to attack a little more, fair enough.
And it's also looking increasingly, I think, that Salah will come back to Liverpool rather than leave. It didn't look like that about a month ago. So I think that will also naturally make them a bit better.
There's a life lesson there somewhere.
FPL teaches life lessons, man.
Yeah.
Anything more on this topic, guys? We can start talking Arsenal.
Yes.
I feel like Ekitike chat was more, let's all hold our hands together and stay a little bit patient than do anything about it. Because with these things, with injuries, we just don't know what is going on behind the scenes.
I mean, I think if you have a decent sub, then you should definitely lean towards keeping. But if you don't, Pras, that becomes a little bit tricky then. You have to pretty much take the 0-pointer on the chin. But that being said, I think this is a sort of game week where doing nothing is probably the best thing. Because whatever you do, even if you buy Watkins, he may not start. You might buy Thiago. I don't think there's a guarantee he starts. Anybody who started the last 2 games could be benched this game.
Yeah. Although one name that was in my head that I didn't say in the Ekitike section, just to finish it off, is Mateta. So actually Palace's fixtures are turning well now. They've got Villa at home, then they've got Sunderland, then Chelsea at home, then Forest, then Brighton. It's not the best, but then they play Burnley and Wolves, 26-27. So if you look at it from a horizon of 8 game weeks, actually Palace's fixtures are turning now, and you have another penalty-taking striker that is capable of scoring 5 goals in a game. So did he score 5? Well, there was that game, no?
No, he scored. I think he missed a hat-trick chance, or he scored the hat-trick and missed the 4th.
No, he scored.
He scored the hat-trick and he missed the 4th.
So he has that big haul in him, and that's another striker that you can look at. Like, my list is usually good minutes and penalties if you want a striker and if you want a different structure. So that's another name. But I would personally go Mane if you really wanted to, if you had 2 transfers.
Even Krupi, I'm hoping, could get more minutes now going forward when Semenyo leaves. To see how that situation also plays out.
Yeah, could pick up first choice.
Absolutely. This is an interesting image from Scout. This is the points per start this season. Haaland is on top. Gabriel is in second. Cherki third. And Declan Rice is in fourth at a price of just 7.2 million. Now, plus we weren't around for the last pod. We had an Arsenal discussion where we could freely shit on Raya. Obviously, while you weren't around. So there's plenty of Raya shitting going on last pod. But I think we need to have, again, an objective view. And I think with the Arsenal defenders, like, I think obviously let's look at Gabriel, right? You could pretty much say today that Gabriel is the top Arsenal asset. And everybody else, I think, 100%. Then you look at 2 and 3.
Yep.
Now with Saka also, I want to point out something interesting. Now people are saying that Saka is going to be rested. I think this was a period that Saka actually got his rest, because all of the fixtures you look after now, right? You see Arsenal after Liverpool, they have the FA Cup, then they have the Carabao Cup semi-final, Forest away. Then the Champions League, the fact that they're in such a good position, I think really works well. in Saka's favor. He can play Madueke for those games, play Saka, Forest, Manchester United, Leeds, even Madueke against Chelsea in the Cup. So I don't think necessarily the fact that Saka got rested this weekend makes you think that you should sell him in terms of a rotation risk. You could argue that yes, Rice is better value. That's why I want to get Rice over Saka. Or maybe now game week 23, 24, you to make money for Palmer. Then you do the swap. But looking at it objectively, who of the two would you rather own today? Rice or Saka? I think the question becomes a bit closer than it was last pod. Last pod, LR and I both said it's clearly Saka. But I think today, my goalposts have shifted a little bit.
Especially if he's going to cut back and make those taking shots. But I just feel like Saka's run is coming. The thing is, the moment you want to get Palmer or Bruno, Saka to Rice is one of the best ways to sort of fund that. Outside of a striker downgrade to a structure like that as well. So you decide which boat you want to go. It's just when do you want to get Palmer and Bruno? And which is the question actually I want to ask you to Zoph'a. Do people get Palmer in now? New manager bounce with Rosenier?
The thing is, I don't think he looked very good against Manchester City. I do want to give him some more time, see where he plays him. If he plays him on the right, I like him a lot more. I do think he's going to give him a lot more freedom either way than he had under Maresca. Under Maresca, he expressed, I think, directly or indirectly at times that he felt quite stifled. He was very much part of a system than given individual freedom. Where Rosenior here is just going to be, let him do his thing. Let him cook. So we need to see what happens in terms of that lineup by players play. And I think we can, because again, Brentford and Palace, I don't think these are as good fixtures, obviously, as West Ham, Wolves, Leeds and Burnley. Getting the right Chelsea players when we get to 24 is more important than getting on Palmer early. You might say that maybe Enzo and double defense is the way if Rosenior becomes very pragmatic.
Brentford haven't been the best defensively. They conceded a fair amount of chances to Everton even. And this was an Everton without Endoe, with Beto and Bari, and they were looking quite leaky.
But that is a bit game state dependent also. Because what had happened, the 3 goals they go up, you can't really read into how they'll set up against Chelsea and how they'll set up against Everton is going to be quite different.
It's just, if he plays attacking, let's say against Fulham, and I don't even know if he's going to start against Fulham because it's like 2 or 3 days rest before he plays.
And he got 90 minutes. That's another thing I want to see. What are his minutes going to be like? Is he now going to play the Carabao Cup game also, which is a big one?
Yeah. It's just with Palmer, right? Like at the back of the head, I feel like when he looks good, and he hasn't looked like his old self yet, there's like a cash-in game. He's one of those guys that's capable of 3 or 4 returns in a single game. He's that explosive. So I just want to make sure that we don't rule out Brentford as an opportunity to go in, because he will do it out of the blue. He's got that cash-in game in, like how Mateta did as well.
Absolutely. And let's say if you have Cunha and Saka, it's quite easy to do. You take Cunha up to Palmer, Saka down to Rice, and boom, the transfer is done. So it's quite easy to fund it also. But again, I think we give it some time. Let's have a discussion closer to game week 22. We keep an open mind now, because I do think there's going to be more value in the defense. Because what Rosenior, I've read he prefers traditional fullbacks. He doesn't do any of this inverting stuff. Kukurea could become an option. James, I don't think he can do the up and down anymore, but he might just decide, you know what, I prefer James in midfield, or maybe even at centre back. I'm going to play Gusto more.
Yeah. And the thing is, we'll have some games as well, because after this, we've got 2 cup games before Chelsea play Brentford. So we'll have some information.
So you effectively have 3 games. You're going to get Fulham, you're going to get Charlton, and you're going to get Arsenal. So at least Fulham and Arsenal, you're going to see pretty decent, strong first-ish teamish lineup. Obviously against Charlton, we are going to rest.
Yeah, so that might give us an idea.
Because we have to also keep in mind, before that good run, they have Palace and even Napoli. Maybe he might decide, okay, West Ham is a game I want to rotate. We don't know how that pattern is also going to go.
Yep.
The thing is,
go ahead.
The next 3-4 game weeks, Haaland is still the best captain, no matter where. So with big hitters, I generally tend to think of captaincy. Like, can you take on Haaland with Palmer? And unfortunately for Palmer, his good fixtures where you would captain him would align with Haaland's good fixtures, or with Saka's possible double game week. That is where I'm a little bit murky, where I feel like I am planning to get Bruno for sure, no matter what. But for Palmer, I'm going to just see in game week 22 where things are. And I'm not particularly looking to plan moves to get him in for now. Palmer is a kind of player where things change very quickly, and then you're like, okay, I need Palmer immediately. So I think I completely agree with you guys. But I just wanted to add this one thing where I'm not desperate, because there is no week I have looked in the next 8 weeks where I feel he's the captain, clear captain, because Haaland has
24
a
plus.
difficult
I'm
fixture.
just looking at 24 and 25 over here. Haaland has Tottenham away, Liverpool away. Chelsea have West Ham and Wolves. Arsenal have Leeds and Sunderland.
And United have Fulham and Spurs.
Which game week did you say?
24-25.
Both of them.
But
Haaland is above
these are the
form.
two
I'm just looking
fixtures,
at
Tottenham-
expected points on Solio, so I've not looked at the fixture. I'm just looking at expected points. It's not that clear cut. You know what I mean? Like it's.
But still, look on the face of it. Tottenham
can
away,
take him on.
Liverpool away. These are the 2 weeks I can go like, okay, maybe I do want to take on Haaland. And if I'm looking at the fixtures, West Ham and Wolves are the two best. They're objectively better than Leeds and Sunderland.
Fair enough.
Also, question to you, Pras, just generally from a strategic FPL point of view. Is there a point from an aggression point of view where you're thinking you're going to maybe incline towards shifting gears, or right now staying in the cruise mode as you are?
Stay. I mean, I only know
Staying.
how to play one way.
No, I
This is
listened
what
to your
happens.
pod with Mo the other day, and you were mentioning a play similar, but you're going to do something different with your chips.
Yeah. So what I might do is if I see a different path to play the chips, where I think the popular strategy goes one way and I don't see much difference, then I might do it that way. But this is what happens, man. Like I played little different because I have more free transfers. I go aggressive, get Ekitike, and it doesn't work. So then I'm like, okay, I go back to my shell and go, no, play a normal way. Don't burn transfers. So it's not like one works better than the other. It's you have to stick to your play style, and that's why it hurts a little bit more. That in every other season, if we didn't have 5 free transfers, I would never have got Ekitike. I'm sitting with 4, and the guy gets injured, and I'm like, okay, let me use it.
Yeah. Just note that it's bad variance. Like you can't call an injury.
It was
Like,
a
that's
perfect
fine.
storm.
You can't-
I know.
And more than
Yeah.
that,
I know.
in the blanks, it was a perfect storm. With Ekitike, what happened was you had Bruno also getting injured. So you had the Bruno funding money also at the same time. Just a perfect storm.
Exactly. And Haaland blanks 3 in a row, but the week I went against him last, he scores 14 points. So it's just like you can't blame. Like I have tried to go aggressive, but every time I'm getting aggressive, I get slapped in the face. So
But like-
I'm not gonna change the way I play. I'm gonna try find areas to get lucky. But when you take risk, you can also get on the other side of the risk.
Trust the process though. He's still sitting like top for expected data, right? So that it's not like it was like a rubbish, stupid move. He's had the highest underlying data in that period.
Yep.
Should we zero back to Arsenal, guys?
Yeah, sure.
First up, now the guys who haven't moved for Gabriel last week. I think this will be a quick answer. Move now.
Yeah.
Move now is a loaded question because people have 3 already, right?
That is
So-
obviously that is going to be the next part of my question. What do you
Yeah.
do? Because last part plus we were pretty vocal that you get rid of Rhea or pretty much whichever other goalkeeper, and that way you keep Timber. But today you could maybe say that maybe you want to get Rice and Saka instead. What do you do accordingly in that situation? That's why first I would like to say let's outline what we favor, the best 3 Arsenal picks, and then we can see how you move toward this. So we all agreed first that Gabriel's the number 1. Who do we think is the second best pick?
I feel like any 2 of Rice, Saka, and Timber are fine. Like I genuinely think any 2 of those 3 are fine. And you make sure you have a structure like this, but get Gabriel first. That's it. Like there's no other agenda in my head. Even Saka, right? I feel like unless you're moving for Palmer or Bruno immediately, which I don't feel like the need to do because the rotation game is out of the way and that Saka points explosion is due. I've been saying this for 2-3 weeks, but I genuinely feel like it's due. You hold and see what happens with Saka.
Plus, what would you say to someone who has something like Rhea, Timber, Saka today?
If you have 1 transfer, I would still do Timber to Gabriel. But if you have 2 transfers, do Raya. It's fine. Like, I just don't think it's worth a hit, man. Like, it's still.
But why isn't it
It's
worth
hard
a
to-
hit, Pras?
Timber has got no like this apart from this week, he hasn't got DEFCON. There are other defenders, like your whole keeper argument of keepers can get save points. Other defenders can get DEFCON points, like Collins, Keane. There are defenders out there that you can rotate in that position. And I feel like we have this discussion every 5 weeks, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. But you can get a rotation through your 4.5 defenders that can also equal Timber's upside. And because we are comparing Raya's upside versus Timber's upside. You guys don't like Raya because Raya has no upside. My argument is Timber also has limited upside. Timber is very expensive And instead of Timber and a 4.0 defender, you can get a 5.0 or two 5.0 defenders. You can get a Hall and a Lacroix, for example. And so what I'm trying to argue is that that doesn't have to be the only route. And by the way, I'm saying both are fine. I'm not saying one is better than the other. So you can choose whichever route you want. If you choose the Timber and cheaper keeper route, which you have, and it's worked out really well. Bruggen kept a clean sheet, Dubravka kept a clean sheet, worked out really well. Other people have Raya, and they have Collins and Vandenberg. Who's the Burnley guy? Van Heck. They have Collins and Van Heck. That has worked out as well. Because Collins has got returns, Van Heck has got returns, sometimes they have got DEFCON. Both work. So I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong. It really depends on how you're using the funds. Both Timber and Raya are okay picks. For me, they're third best picks. And you can put Raya fourth. I have no issues with that. I have no whatever with Raya. I haven't owned Raya actually more than 6 weeks this season. So all I'm saying is it's fine to have Raya as well. It's not wrong to have him, just like it's fine to have Timber. Because Timber's assist was not an assist. Like he was passing the ball and the guy, like when we see a Munoz assist or we see a O'Reilly assist, it was not one of those. He's not that threatening. He's not there on DEFCON. So when I look at Timber and I'm watching the game, I'm not afraid of his returns, just like you're not afraid of Raya's save points. So I'm just making an argument that both work if you want double Arsenal defense, depending on your structure, depending on your preferences, depending on your ceiling or floors. Both are fine.
I just have 2 points to say. Like one thing on Timber is also a little bit of outcome bias. The dude is missing an open goal a game since the last 3 or 4 games, which is just...
But outcome, Timber got subbed off, no. You got a clean sheet, Raya got a 94th. That's also outcome, no?
I agree. Second thing, on positive side for Raya, I want to mention is that the doubles are coming. If the doubles are coming, I am more confident of Raya getting 2 starts in that double compared to Timber. I can easily see a Timber white as well. So I just wanted to point out 2 points that I had on both sides of the coin. That's all. Like now,
I think both are fine.
I do wonder if you want to sell Raya because he's very minute secure for the doubles. So do you hold him till the doubles? If you're going to get a double in 26, it's something you need to weigh up as well.
Yep. And that's also something I want to mention, something we didn't consider last spot. Now, the rotation aspect of it with Timber, Ben White is back. So Timber could potentially miss games with Raya won't. So that might potentially level it out in that sense. So I do get that. And again, the keepers which you move to now especially is a bit difficult. You want to get Chelsea a little bit later. It's easier to get Chelsea around 22, 24. So in that sense, I do get the argument of both sides of the coin. But either way, Gabriel has to be the priority. If you have to move Timber on, do that.
Yeah. Would you advise people to sell Saka now? Because a lot of people are jumping the gun and getting impatient. I wouldn't. I want to be clear about that. I think wait.
Unless it's a funding move for another heavy hitter like we spoke about in 22-24, where you're getting Bruno or Palmer as part of the deal and you're moving to Rice. That I could get behind, but if you're objectively looking to move him on because he's a bad pick, I don't think so. The rest is done.
Cool.
Anything more to add on the Arsenal section?
No, I think we're good.
Let's talk about Villa a little bit. In terms of stats, there's no point even bringing up Villa stats. They're pretty much defying them every week now. Watkins is an interesting one. The numbers are climbing, but they play Palace next. Now, I can't remember the last time that actually Emery beat Glasner. Somebody on our Discord was also mentioning that every time the two sides have met, I think they've in fact won 2-0, Glasner's boys. Now, they are very depleted. And we're talking about Watkins again. Now, will he even start this one after having started the last two? Could easily be Marlon in there. So do we look at Villa as an entry point this week or potentially closer to 22?
Next week, I reckon. Because Everton's a good fixture, especially if Branthwaite is not back by that time. That could be an entry point if you want to go there. For Watkins as well as Rodgers, see it out this week.
Because in general, 22 is just much better for making transfers. Because for all the teams barring the Carabao Cup size, as Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea and Newcastle, you're going to get a free week after a long, long time. I think that counts for something.
And it just gives you a clearer view in terms of deciding which bets to make. I feel like this is a little bit of a hazy week in terms of deciding which way you want to go with your attackers that you're primarily going to pick.
Let's talk about move on from Villa. Anything else to add?
No, Villa is just a very difficult team to predict because their defenders don't DEFCON, their midfielders don't have amazing data. Watkins doesn't have the minutes, but they keep doing well. So it's very difficult. But in terms of long-term fixtures, actually, if you're looking to Wildcard, long term, like 10, 15 game weeks, Villa are like easily top of the ticker because their fixtures are now good for a while. They've played all the hard teams already. So it's tempting, but I just don't know who to recommend.
Also, I just want to say, when you're watching them in terms of eye test, they are riding on Rodgers' form. They're looking for him at every chance. They're looking at him for every opportunity. So if people are wondering if they should go for a Rodgers, like he'll get that random brace game and he will tick along and offer value for his price as well. So in no world is he a bad pick in my opinion, because they're just looking to feed him at every opportunity right now.
Yeah, in hindsight today, I would have rather bought a Rodgers than a Gordon, just because of how the minutes are shaping up.
Exactly.
Segue to Newcastle.
The chat keeps telling us Gehi is confirmed to City. I don't think it is. It's just speculation.
It's speculation. They're in for City, is what I read.
City are in for him primarily because City don't have any defenders left because they had Guardiola and Diaz injured also. They're probably going to go Ake and Kusanov deep. They've even recalled some guy who was on loan at Walsall.
Yep.
All desperate. And look at the irony of that, right? The see that Pep is struggling is because he doesn't have players to rotate his squad, and when Arsenal are thriving, because you look at the bench that Arsenal had last week, they had I think pretty much that entire bench would be starting for any Premier League side that's not in the top 6. Incredible.
That's insane, man. What a bench.
I think it's definitely Arsenal's title, man. Don't get angry, LR.
I'm not really angry.
Control. Newcastle, guys. So Newcastle, I think, are a bit interesting now to talk about because I think in terms of the schedule, it's been quite kind to them. Now they have the short turn, I think a better turnaround than most teams after this. Now Palace to Leeds is obviously a bit short. That's for any team. Anybody who's playing on Wednesday, except Arsenal and Liverpool, has a short turnaround compared to Sunday. But after that, they have Bournemouth in the FA Cup. Then they have Man City in the Carabao Cup, which is interesting that's on the Tuesday, and the game against Wolves is on the Sunday. So if you can get past this Leeds fixture, you pretty much expect a clear runway for Wolves. And then again, you have the Champions League fixtures when it starts getting a little bit convoluted again with the selections. So I think for the short term, at least Newcastle, and that again becomes quite short term now. Leeds and Wolves, they're okay. But after that, they're a bit of a hop off. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. And plus with the full squad, even the defenders are going to be fit. So except for like Theo, maybe Hall, I just hop off.
So, which means I don't think I feel comfortable buying now because a lot of people are potentially looking at Bruno G, looking at Hall, Thiago to buy now. I'm not feeling so comfortable. I think I'll be getting off, latest after Villa. Maybe around Gameweek 24 when we are talking about the fixture swing is happening.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. If you've not bought into the number 8 model in FPL and gone for Rice and Bruno G till now, I feel like take it on for 2 weeks and then decide what you want to do.
Bruno G, I agree with, man. Like Rice, okay, I agree with because set pieces are there. Bruno G, the guy is okay. He also takes a corner and apparently hits the crossbar or scores directly from it quite regularly.
Yeah.
But you just watch the game, and I know this is counter to what I said for the other Bruno for Man United, but it's not comparable. He's not even on penalties, but he keeps scoring. What can you do?
It's unreal, man. He keeps scoring. Both LR and I bought Gordon, and every time Bruno G scores, I'm just like screaming. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. And Gordon does well. You know, he did well in the first half. But then one thing Danny mentioned in our chat as well, like Gordon needs to score in the first half because in the second half he dies. Like the sheer energy exhaustion that happens in the second half is insane.
I've owned Gordon for 6 weeks this season, and every time, first half, you're like, oh, so close. Second half, you're like, okay, he's gone.
And then UCL brace.
Or
UCL brace.
Nothing. Yeah, UCL brace. Penalty brace.
Yeah.
That's about in terms of Newcastle. We're talking about the potential fixture swings. I think we sort of already tackled that. Anything more you want to add?
We did.
Pras?
Before you go there, I know we do super chats in the end, but there is an incredible one. I don't know if you can put it on the screens or we can do this later, but I wanted to shout out, how do we pronounce it? By Tielo.
Wow, I can see the amount. I can't see that. I have to scroll up to see it.
They've pulled the wild card last week. They got Gabriel. They have Chow over Hall, Rice over Saka, Mane in their team. Incredible, man. Like just shows people who are debating wildcard that sometimes we are guilty of saying wait for more information. I am, more guilty
Game
of saying
week
wait
4.
for more
That's
information.
what we said. It game
So-
week 4. Everyone be told wait.
Sometimes playing it early, taking the points now, and now if you need to take a couple of hits when doubles come, it's not the end of the world. Of course, it's high risk, high return, right? Remember, like it could have not gone so well, and then now you've used a wildcard and you won't get information. So it works both ways. But this is a good example that you can use it early and actually get a lot of points. I'm sure there are like 80 plus points this week.
Yep. You should give the shout out. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Maybe butcher it. Is Baideratello.
Nicely done, man. Congratulations.
Well done, mate. And by the way, we also have to congratulate the current FPL OR #1 who's top of the FPL Wire League right now, Henry Hyun. Well done, buddy.
Henry Hyun, well done. No R1,
man.
is it? Like
OR1.
overall in the game.
Overall in the
OR1
game,
is
top
rooting-
of the FPL Wire
Rooting for
League.
you.
Yeah.
Rooting for you. What's his team? We can start to copy his moves.
The team value probably we can't afford it, but it's been incredible. Some of the I've been following it for the last couple of weeks since Baker mentioned to me. Every week the moves have just been spot on. In this week he got Shada off the bench for Ekitike.
Nice.
Anything?
I've got the team up. He's got Verb, Collins, Van Heck, Virgil, Theo, Foden,
No Arsenal
Shada.
defense.
No
he,
Arsenal
he
defense.
fell into the Virgil trap.
Oh.
Pilar.
He's actually a mix of both of us. He's got Raya and Verb. So he's rotating Raya with Verb and played Verb this time. He's got Foden, Bruno Guimaraes, Gordon, Shada, Bowen and Haaland. And on the bench, he's got Ekitike, Gravenberch and Keane.
Wow.
Not
Nice.
very conventional FPL, man. Keep it going, Henry. We'd love to see you win it.
And get Gabriel.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be his move very soon.
Yeah.
Okay, I think game week 24 we identified as potential fixture swings for a lot of clubs. Anything else, Pras, in your mind?
It's the AFCON factor as well, which I think I didn't mention at this point. Like, think of a midfield that you can create in Game Week 24 with Palmer, Bruno, let's say Indai, maybe even add a Sar. Because you look at
Munoz.
Crystal Palace's fixtures, Munoz.
He's going to be fit by that time too.
So it's like you're taking on the template with ultra good players. You're not taking it on with like some randos. So in 24, that is what the appeal is. Yesterday, after the 3 p.m. butchering that my team had, I was like, if Nico Riley is not starting, I might actually play it. Or I made it. The screenshot I've sent to you for the Wildcard 24, I made it that this is probably what it will look like. But the issue I had with making it now is you're still committing a lot of transfers. 24 wildcard, you can actually make one pretty nice wildcard team, which doesn't commit much because you still have your triple Arsenal. You still have, you can get your double or triple Chelsea after you've learned about them, and you can look at Chelsea's fixtures. The next four are actually beautiful from 24. I've already said Bruno's good fixtures start now, and if he plays in the number 10, a lot of people will get Bruno, so Bruno won't be your edge. But it's just a lot of those things when they add up, you can actually get 5 or 6 different players from the template, good different players from the template. So that's what Game Week 24 fixture swings do. Bournemouth also I wanted to shout out. Like, it could be Krupi, it could be Tavernier. Tavernier could take on penalties. He could be more talismanic now that Semenyo is gone. So, or Clivert, like those are options from Bournemouth that we have known in the past that have been decent options. So something to think about in 24. But the bare minimum that we said at the beginning of the pod as well is now try to save transfers for this 24 swing. Like, no luxuries, only deal with injuries and then take it from there if you can.
Absolutely. That's the message we wanted to drive home. Take the pain this week for the long-term gain we're going to get in 24.
Continue to take the pen.
Pretty much that's all FPL has been of late. Anything particular from the results last weekend you guys want to talk about? We can move on to this week's captaincy and stuff.
Wolves and West Ham, I thought, was a result that was quite a standout result on that day in terms of them winning 3-0. Mane looking really good. Like, you know, if you guys saw Match of the Day also, they spoke about how much he's got in terms of hype and general positive vibes around the club as well. So I think he'll just play him. That said, the manager did mention that he wants to protect him, but I think he's looking good as a 4.5 million striker for the future. And West Ham look like they're in a bit of a trouble at the moment. Didn't offer anything, one of the poorest halves that we've seen from any team this season. So, you know, worrying signs there.
In terms of the team to target, what are you guys pecking order? I think that's an interesting discussion because I think Wolves obviously have now improved. We've seen that consistently over the last few weeks. They've given a game to Liverpool. They've given a game to Arsenal. There haven't been pushovers of the last few weeks. Even Manchester United, they did get the draw. Whereas you see Burnley, They're struggling. West Ham, they're struggling. Leeds also, we see now they've gotten better. Who are the whipping boys now?
So I like this game. Like I like the game for City against Brighton, for example. Just because Brighton don't necessarily sit. So in a game state like this, you don't mind your City attackers against a team like Brighton. But out of the teams that I like my attackers playing, if they're from good teams, Wolves are still there. I like attackers playing against Brentford and Everton. I think like both of them defensively don't look the most robust teams at the moment. Until the time Branthwaite comes and maybe the AFCON guys come back for Everton, these are the two teams that I also like on the side.
These are also two teams that can be very stubborn though on their day. They can set up a deep block effectively, I think.
Yeah, but amongst the league of decent teams throughout, like these are the two teams that jump out to me where I wouldn't mind my teams playing them.
But what about the bottom guys? I think West Ham and Burnley, I think are my two whipping boys. If you have to say them, even more so than Wolves.
Yes.
You're giving me Minte pain again, man. He missed West Ham and Burnley. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, I would agree. I was actually at the West Ham game, the Brighton West Ham game. West Ham and the crowd. Every time West Ham make a mistake, the crowd was on them. Like there's that pressure on the manager. They were booing as soon as Wilson was taken off. There was huge boos. That game they were drawing. They were not even losing. So there's huge pressure on the manager. Apparently they're signing a new striker, or they're in for a new striker now. They have, right?
Either of you guys, obviously, LR, you've seen Gamora. Pras, you've seen it also, right?
I have not seen Gamora.
Okay, you have to see the guy they signed. He's a dead ringer for Conte from Gamora. I'll share the picture on the group later.
Yep.
Right.
Are you caught up with Traitors, by the way, Pras?
I'm still, after the whole Home Alone show at home, I have caught up with, we didn't do a Nord thing, so we didn't actually talk about this. I've caught up with Pluribus, I've caught up with Stranger Things. Traitors, I've only watched the first, so I need to watch the other two tonight.
How are you managing living in the UK without any spoilers? I mean, at work, etc. Is it everyone just discussing it?
I've just been off Twitter, man. Like the spoilers come on Twitter, so I haven't, like, in fact, even when I'm posting my team and stuff, I just mute the whole thing after that. So I haven't been on Twitter much because I want to avoid watching pain, and two, like I don't want any traitor spoilers because that's where you get.
Yeah. Oh, secret traitor thing. I like the analogy you used with the assistant manager though. I thought that was quite apt.
Yeah, but it's fun though. It like what I like about it is you're playing the game along with the traitors. Like when somebody's at the round table, and even you don't know as a viewer whether the person is a traitor or so you don't have full information, which makes it quite nice that there's an element of suspense and engagement. It's like FPL as a viewer.
The idea is good. This is what I tweeted. The idea itself is very good, but the execution is not very clear. Like now, the incentives or the motivations are not. They're a little bit mixed. Are they working with the super traitor or not?
You still have the next 2 episodes to go.
Okay.
But
I can't say anything more.
But I'll say that I can't wait for the next episode. I'm really enjoying it as a viewer experience. And like a lot of people were hyping up Celebrity Traitors. I think Celebrity Traitors is rubbish compared to the OG Traitors.
But the UK version is the best. I just watched the Canada version. The fact that they get normal people, none of these guys from Survivor and shows like that, just takes it to another level.
Because there's just a lot more at stake, etc. And there's just much more, like when we saw the UK Traitors, the celebrity version, even they were sort of laissez-faire in the way they were playing the game. You know, it isn't as intense and there isn't as much to gain or lose. Like I prefer the intensity of normal Traitors more. So yeah, I just wanted to add
What a nice digression.
I know, right? We will bit of that, but let's talk about this week and captaincy again. Now we've had 3 Haaland blanks. Do we take on the robot this week? And I think again the answer is most likely going to be no.
We have 2 or 3. We have 3 in a row.
3 in a row. 3 blanks. We have 3 blanks in a row.
You said 3. Okay. I thought I heard 2. Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, plus you go back, I look at my team score the last 3 weeks. Nobody else could have scored double digits. I could have said, oh yeah, I could have captained this guy. Everyone else did rubbish as well. So,
this is why life without Bruno sucks, man. Now you see.
I do actually miss Bruno, I have to say. Bruno as a 10 is going to be straight back in my team. In fact, at 22, I might actually prioritize getting Bruno over Palmer, even though it's Man City, because it's the first home game for whoever the new manager is potentially.
Yeah, fair enough.
Looking at the odds for this week, I think Haaland cap. If you're going away from Haaland, maybe Cunha, the Arsenal guys. don't really
I was
inspire.
actually a little tempted by Cunha last week because I thought Leeds would take the game to us, and I thought that would open up space for like Dorgu and Cunha. So I like the matchup because I thought Leeds would be a little more front-footed. But here, I just like the matchup for Brighton against Brighton for Haaland, so I'm not going anywhere else.
And Brighton's data has also been toilet. They've got a couple of clean sheets that they've been against Sunderland and Burnley. They're in the bottom 5 for XGC.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing with Verbruggen? Are you keeping?
Short term, at least for playing Dubravka this week, he gets whatever he gets. And around 24, we'll have a look. Maybe potentially move him
Just
to
by the way,
Sanchez.
Burnley keepers are insane against us. I'll tell you that. I can remember at least 3 or 4 10 double-digit hauls. They tend to make they tend to make insane saves.
I remember
against
from
us,
the Jensen days, the first season I played, they had this big keeper called Jensen, and I think it was game week 2 where he got a clean sheet. I was like, and game week 3 I wildcarded. I was like, oh, he kept a clean sheet against Manchester United. Must be good. Not a single clean sheet for 18 game weeks after.
Yeah.
We got
Connect.
It's a lag, it says.
No, so we dropped completely, but now we have reconnected, so we should be back now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think we should be back, guys. Yes. That confirms we are back.
Okay, so I'll repeat my question. The question was, a lot of people have Dorgu, they have Cunha. So I think we should spend a second on what do we actually expect Fletcher to put out. So I won't repeat the question, LR. What do you think?
I do think it'll be a 4-3-3 with Casemiro and Meno / Ugarte, along with Bruno as the number 10. I don't see a world in which Bruno doesn't play number 10. With Cunha and Bumo flanking Sesko, or Cunha or Ahmad and Bumo, two of them flanking either Cunha or Bumo, who plays up front as well. So Sesko or Ahmad are the two that might get rotated once the AFCON guys are back. Dorgu is a question mark. I think this is probably his last game, because then it could very well be Dalo and Shaw as the wing backs. And then we'll have Maz back as full backs, and we'll have Maz back. But I think Dorgu's fine for this week. And then you see what happens, because we don't have that many players back.
Agree. I think this was pretty much the window you looked at, especially the guys who bought him for Rodon. Play him these 3 weeks, and after that, he just stick him on the bench after.
Yeah. Which is easy to do because of his price.
He's been unlucky a little bit. He's been flirting with goals, had that offside as well. This game, I think, again, he will play on the right forward. There's no other left-footed forward who's available.
And he's been decent as a winger, except for the legs he loses in the last 10-20 minutes. He's been all right. I've held back and been zen all season in terms of just this pod, in terms of the bad luck even I've had throughout the last 3-4 weeks, but we'll just leave that for later.
Anything else, particular odds we stand out this week? I think in terms of goals, the Bournemouth-Tottenham fixture is one I'm looking at now. Bournemouth, something interesting I want to share with you guys on the table, and I've never seen this. It's worth sharing. In terms of XG conceded, they're 20th in the league. In terms of XG, they're actually, in terms of non-pen XG, they're actually 1. In XG, they're 3rd, but non-pen XG, 12.05, they're the highest in the league. So they're the ends of both tables. So the games have averaged 5 goals a game over the last 6. So what's going to happen?
This remind you of?
This reminds me reminds me of Liverpool when they actually had the season with Suarez.
Yeah.
Goals
the Klopp Liverpool.
And the Leeds United team.
Or the Bielsa one.
Bielsa one.
That's actually a better comparison.
Terrible in defense.
But ultimately, whenever a team plays them, it's going to be fun. Now, he's actually up against Thomas Franco. I think he's potentially been one of the dullest managers this season. So, who breaks? Iraola or Franco? That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Also, one thing worth mentioning, people are skeptical of getting their second Arsenal defender / Gabriel this week. Slot is pretty much still in first gear mode, and just look at the clean sheet odds for Arsenal. Like outside of Everton, still the second best at the moment. So it's still a good time to immediately get Gabriel if you don't have him already. Wanted to mention that in terms of the odds that stand out.
It's a home game, and they're top 3 every week.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I was expecting to be honestly over 40%. If we get news that Ekitike is out closer to the weekend, I think that's going to go closer to 40. And I think the Everton odds are a little bit generous at 40 again.
Very generous.
Again, this will all probably change closer to we get to it, because I remember seeing even the last one, Liverpool odds had actually drifted downwards. The markets might have actually had some news about Ekitike. And Rob T posted. I didn't read much into it, but you look at it in hindsight, maybe that was part of the reason.
But Everton defense, you guys are a little... I mean, you need to look at Everton defense like you look at Verbruggen. Don't look at it like you look at, they're not obviously Gabriel. but they get DEFCON, man. And
no, that's not what you're saying, President. Just an objectively thing as 40%, I would say is a bit generous. Are they more likely than Newcastle against Leeds to keep a clean sheet? I don't think so necessarily. I think they would be about the same. Are they more likely than Arsenal? I still don't think so.
What I mean is their defenders get...
That's the point I made in my article as well, because you can't evaluate Keane versus somebody like who doesn't get DEFCON just purely on the defense. Ultimately, the guy starting on 4 points, it counts for something.
Also, to contextualize it, the last week the debate was getting a Newcastle defender or an Everton defender for around that price. So the conversation Zoph'a and I had was, yes, they kept a clean sheet against Burnley, but they really didn't deserve to keep the clean sheet because they had conceded 1.5 XG to Burnley. They look really, really bad. And then they had that chance at the end, which also didn't account for XG because it was termed as offside, but it was actually onside as well. So the debate was between the Newcastle and the Everton defender at the point.
Of course, I agree.
Yeah.
Anything more to add over in terms of like bench? I don't think anyone has any bench dilemmas again. Struggling.
If anybody has a bench, well done.
What are you expecting from Chelsea's off against Fulham?
It'll be interesting in terms of lineup because I think Rosinha will be appointed before that. So I think it'll be similarish to what we saw against Man City. Maybe not so much rotation, but again, it's not the Chelsea manager apparently who picks the team. It's a medical department. So who knows?
I'm also low-key looking at Estevao if he's going to start, because Maresca had this thing of I want to rotate all the time, but you could equally have a manager and say I've got a generational talent here. What the hell am I doing benching? He
might even decide to play him in the center and play Palmer on the right.
So Estevao could be a low-key thing.
With Chelsea,
there's lots to learn right now with Chelsea and United both having good fixtures on the horizon and new managers. There's just lots of information to gain.
It's a very interesting time in FPL because again, these are top sides. These are not sides like a West Ham where you're not getting much of a bounce under Nuno. There is definitely going to be some change.
I never thought I'd see a day where Zoph'a would call it. You
guys are the top 3 for XG, man. I'll invest in the attack. I only speak facts.
He's off this season. You're backing Man United. You're having a good season. See, last season you didn't have any Man United. See what happened.
Oh yeah, good point. Last season was the only season since I started playing FPL in time Manchester United. I knew it wouldn't happen again.
Yeah.
See, don't repeat your mistakes.
Talk about our teams.
We need to get him a red kit.
I have still not seen the Sanchez kit, by the way.
Oh yeah, now that Sanchez is trailing broken, now I can happily put it on the. No issues. Yeah, let's talk about our teams. And
wait, were we doing the wildcard thing or not?
Yes, Pras, and that's now we need to spill the beans.
It's not my team. This is
you mentioned that you mentioned that there's a 20% chance you might pull your wildcard now.
No. All I said was that yesterday, when I look at my team, and when you come to my bus team, you'll see it's like a horror show. So when I was looking at it, I'm like, can I gain by going now, especially if there's lots of problems? And so I started making this. Took 5 minutes, right? So I've not done any deep research on rotations or anything. But the thinking here is that Chelsea are probably the differential team, if you want to start now, that probably nobody has. Like, people don't even have one Chelsea. So if you can get a good run, this is not the best entry point away to Fulham, but if you can get a good run, and especially when Palmer played 90 minutes, that's when I was like, okay, maybe I need to start thinking about this. So this is a team which is essentially the meta structure at the moment, which is you have Haaland and 2 cheap strikers, and it's even more meta because you can have Mane in here, which is, can give you a bench strength. Then midfield is where I think there'll be a lot of differentiation. So this already has Palmer. Ideally, I would have liked to have Bruno, but we don't know if Bruno is fit. If Bruno is fit now, that adds even more appeal to a wildcard this week, that you just get Bruno for Burnley. What are the sacrifices? So I'm removing Foden for Cherki, which is a little bit knee-jerky because Foden has blanked and Cherki has done equally well. But apart from that, it's got a 5 at the back in defense. Pretty much all DEFCON guys apart from O'Reilly. O'Reilly stays only because I was going to put a Newcastle defender, but I was like, O'Reilly now pretty much gets all the minutes now that Guardiola is out. And so I was like, what's wrong with this team? If you can get some gains now, and then in Gameweek 24, you use your 2 or 3 free transfers to move and get Bruno. And if you want an Ndai for Cherki, or if you want somebody else. So I thought that's a draft I would look at now if I was looking at it.
So what would it take for you to wildcard? I think you had mentioned potentially more injuries if revealed in the press conference.
I think if a couple of guys are out, So Ekitike already I'm not, but if a couple of glue guys are out, which I think are important and people will not sell and try to move around, let's take Saka as an example. Like, if he says there's something with Saka, I think those things will be key. If there's something happens again to Gabriel or a defender that I have, Van Dijk, who I want to keep for Burnley at home, but he's out. These are obviously tail end scenarios. But if something like that happens, I am prepared to say that I'll just wildcard early because I think there's two reasons. Well, just to finish, I think there's two reasons why I think it is viable. One is there's points to be had between now and game week 27, 28, where people will plod along because they will not want to play their wildcard. And second, the season can be managed, I feel, unless you cannot plan for uncertainty or postponements. If there are no postponements, I think the chip strategy can be managed where you free hit in game week 31, you bench boost in game week 33, and you triple captain in 37, and 33, 37 you can interchange. So it can be managed.
In terms of reasons that might make Pras pull the trigger also is if Fletcher says that Bruno's fit.
Yes, definitely. That one is a big one.
Yeah, because then the moving pieces change. Ultimately, then you benchmark this team for 24. It's not too dissimilar.
Yeah. Exactly. You know that logic when we look at early season, we say I'll wildcard in 8, but why not 6? Because I can get a team similar to 8 in 6. And so that's what you would try to do here.
The only thing is with Chelsea and United, while you're making good bets, there are shots in the dark. Like it could be that Cunha plays out of position striker and everything's going through him, etc., and you don't get him on wildcard. Something like that could emerge. It could be that Esteban becomes the pick because he's the star. Like those are the things that you might miss out on in terms of opportunity.
Yeah, information. We always talk about this. If information doesn't change, this wildcard will be great. If information changes, you're screwed.
And I think that is primarily the reason to hold it till 24.
Yeah.
There's the Sanchez issue. Like he was not fit in this game, and you go for a keeper, and suddenly Jorgensen is the preferred keeper now going forward. It's stuff like that which that uncertainty is even heightened when there are new managers in the two teams you're targeting.
Agreed. Move on to bus teams.
Yes.
Plus, your team up first.
So as I mentioned, the horror show. When you target two good home fixtures for Liverpool, you have to take the pain of the away to Arsenal fixture. So that's what has happened with this. And so I've got Raya in goal, and I've got O'Reilly, Gabriel, Keane, and Alderete. I've got Szoboszlai, Foden, Saka, and Cunha in midfield, and Ekitike and Haaland up top. Now, I can play Van Dijk instead of Ekitike if he's out because I'm not expecting much from anyone. Van Dijk has even stopped getting DEFCON, which is something that was not planned, but it is what it is. So the idea is the team doesn't look great, but it's almost like, when you have a big wound and somebody says put some Band-Aid on it. Band-Aid is not going to help. So one free transfer is not going to help. So either I roll and I just get through with this week, hope to get lucky, or just, hope to get not unlucky. And then next week, Liverpool have Burnley at home. The week after that, Man City have Burnley at home. So I have a triple up from both of those teams. So there is upside there in the weeks after this. But this week, I just have to take some of the pain, which it's maybe 2-3 players different from other teams, but it's clearly not the 2-3 players that they have. I have players playing Arsenal away, which is always a bad thing. So not expecting much this week, but I'll be rolling.
I think that makes sense, man. Don't really see, because again, like you at least have a playing style. I think the one game you can expect Virgil to get some sort of DEFCON is this one, right? Maybe 2 to 3 points for Virgil over there.
Not really, to be honest, because the way Arsenal attack is not through the middle. Like Van Dijk does well against teams that attack through the middle or do a lot of crosses. The way Arsenal attack is through the flanks, and then they do a ball, which is not in the air. It's actually closer to the ground and cross it to somebody, or Saka shoots.
The Guardiola cutback.
Correct. So I'm not expecting Van Dijk DEFCON actually in this game. So we'll see.
Have you thought of starting Virgil over Ekitike?
Yeah. If there's doubts on Ekitike, I'll just start Van Dijk. One day he'll get ahead.
I'll mention. I think Ekitike is like a 30 or 60. I don't think it's a 0, personally.
Then more reason to just bench him, right? If you don't think he gets good minutes, then just play Van Dijk. Maybe
even if he starts, I think it's 60. No more than that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If he starts more than 60, that is, I think we agree.
Yeah.
I think 30, 60, 0. I think all three are possible.
Yeah.
But the least
90
likely.
Is not. Is that what you guys are saying?
I think 90 is pretty much impossible.
As in 80 plus.
Because you don't
think 80 plus
you
is
don't go
unlikely?
from out of the squad to starting and playing 80 plus minutes in the space of 2 or 3 days, because it was not a planned rest. I think today, if you look at slot, which fixture do you look at more winnable? You definitely look at the Fulham one. I think the Arsenal one, you sort of almost like you take it. In that sense, you had to win the Fulham game. So I think even if Ekitike had a chance of making it, he would have kept him for the 20-minute appearance at least.
Yeah. So I might play Van Dijk.
Makes sense. Anything to add, LR, here?
Nope. Safe.
It makes sense, man. Because again, like you mentioned, a lot of fixture swings to target going forward. LR, this is you.
I've got Dubravka, Timber, Gabriel, O'Reilly, Dorgu, Saka, Gordon, Foden, Cunha, Ekitike, and Haaland. Bench is very, very thin. If there is the 10% chance that Richards look like he's going to play, then I might start him ahead of Ekitike. Outside of that, I'm just going to take the pain this week. Looking to save.
Yeah, because I think your bench is even more thin, because I think you have just Potts over here.
I won't be surprised. Last week. Did you think of Mane at all, or was it like a thing that you just went for the 4.2?
No. I thought of Mane. I did think of Mane. It's just that I thought that the players that I want to get in the future are really, really expensive.
So I went
for the cheaper. And it wasn't like a 0.1, right? A 0.3 difference is quite significant. So we did speak about Mane on the pod, but I went full down.
I mean, even Mane, like, look at the fixtures, man. The fixtures are bad. It's not like they have another West Ham at home coming up anytime soon.
Yeah, but already, right? He would have been useful for me this week. Like if I had
because he immediately would have come on instead of Potts.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about boring transfers. Miley saved my bacon this week. He was my biggest rank gainer. Remember, Pras, when we were discussing that Potts Miley thing?
So you got Potts or you got Miley off the bench this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
For Ekitike.
Wow, man. That's great.
So that was pretty much the highlight of the week.
Zoph'a had the same team. We had two players different. He had Hall, I had Dorgu, and his first bench was Miley. I had Potts.
That's how it goes.
25% point difference.
Yeah.
That's how reason swings. This is my team. I've got Dubravka starting this week. Not expecting much, but I don't think I can start him over Verbruggen still. I think we'd risk it against Manchester United. Timber, Gabriel, O'Reilly, whose minutes now I think go up. We were all quite worried whether he would start now, but I don't think City even have starting defenders now. Hall is an interesting one because people think he won't start this week, but I think both Hall and Gordon, the fact they were taken off around the 60th minute, makes me feel quite positive that they'll start Leeds and then sit out the FA Cup game the week after, maybe 70-ish minutes again. You guys agree?
Yeah. I do want to mention, by the way, that our call for O'Reilly was quite decent because we didn't expect Ake to play 2 on the trot, which is why we were a little more bullish on O'Reilly's minutes compared to everybody else.
The fact that they lost both centre-backs obviously played into them conceding a goal. But I have to say, in general, the City team doesn't know how to control games the same way. In the pass that Cherki made to Bernardo was a silly pass. They just, what are they trying to do at 1-0? All you have to do is back pass and control the game and see it out. And it's not the first time they've done it this season.
Yeah. I won't be surprised if they play both Rodri and Gonzalez now that their defense is a little weak now.
I think Nico is still injured for a bit. We don't know when he's back.
Okay.
Again, so I think O'Reilly, I think you have to keep him for a little bit now at least. Then you have Saka, Cunha, Foden, Gordon. Krupi is an interesting one. So I have to start one off. I think I'm pretty much decided I'm going to bench Ekitike. So I have to start one off Krupi, Miley, and Mukiele. And there were some interesting quotes from Iraola. I've got them over here. If anybody has Krupi, this might be useful. So he says, with Junior, we have to find out where we can use him better. Because it's true, when we put Unal and Junior, they came together almost like 2 nines. You have Juniors finishing, that is amazing. But from that moment till the end, I think Arsenal have control of the game because they control the middle. So he's effectively saying that when you start like Krupi with another striker, sometimes he doesn't necessarily have the ball recovery. The team overall suffers. But he does mention that he wants to find a way to integrate him. So maybe what he's going to do is play him instead of Kluivert, play him on the wing. So you guys think it's a good opportunity to start him this week? I think it's against Tottenham, the odds are good. They're at home. The games have goals.
I'd play
Mukiele.
But Mukiele, the fact that like you guys, I think like the DEFCON potential, but I think Brentford score. And the thing is, Mukiele now, this game, I think he potentially goes right back because Ballard subbed on late in the game. And when he's been at right back, his DEFCON rate is much lower.
That's actually why I went Alderete over Mukiele. Like, this is the thing that he doesn't always play centre back. And actually, when he plays centre back, he eats up Alderete's DEFCON.
He's so dominant.
So, yeah.
That's a concern. Again, I could even play Miley. I don't think Miley will necessarily play the fullback this game. They've played Tonali, this one, Joelinton and Bruno the last couple of games. So Miley might be playing in midfield now.
I just think you should not rule out Mukiele and Sunderland's general defensive nous in a game like this. They know how to set at the back, and Brentford will struggle against teams that give them the ball because they like to play on the counter, and Sunderland are not going to do that. So, and if it's a clean sheet, it's like an 8 to 10 point clean sheet as well. I feel like the ceiling is also highest, and the floor is also pretty decent with a pick like Mukiele, so I would go him.
I just love Krupi, man. Even the goal he took, as soon as he took that shot, I knew that ball was going on only one place.
So my son and I have this FIFA career mode going on for some really poor team, and Krupi was like one of the first players we bought because potential is insane on FC26. Good guy.
Has he heard about your amateur mode comment yet?
He should also hear all the things when I'll do my next team selection, I'll tell you guys what a nightmare Christmas I had and my children ruined it, like didn't let me sleep and whatever. But
so, yeah, payback.
He doesn't watch my videos, so it's all fine.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much.
We've got 5 minutes to listen to that if you want to narrate the story right now.
No. I'm just saying. I was telling Zoph'a before, like the Christmas I had, right? I mean, we had 10 people in this 3-bedroom flat that we have, and that meant that my wife and I were sleeping in the living room on the sofa bed. And what happens is you sleep last when you're sleeping in the living room, but also the kids wake up very early in the morning and they come to the living room. So like every morning I was like, oh, they're up. So it's one of those coming out of frustration than anything else, that they want the best.
I think they're pretty much saving a transfer. Even though I have 3, I think I'd like to have 4. I don't think there's anything I want to move Ekitike on for short term.
Fair shot.
Makes sense. But I would still say Mukiele over Krupi.
If this one is injured, let's say if Bruno is fit, would you downgrade Ekitike and get Bruno as a 5th midfielder immediately?
No, I think I'd like to give it a little bit, because again, what Amorim mentioned the last game is that Bruno, I'm going to get some minutes out of him. Now, again, anytime a manager declares a player is fit, we generally assume that he starts. But that might not be the case. He could come off the bench for minutes. That's again, we have to be careful with Ekitike. Slot might say that he's available. That doesn't mean he's going to start.
Fair.
We have a few super chats, guys. Let's check that out before we wrap up. There are quite a few, in fact.
Before we go to the super chats, we've not done a like or subscribe plug throughout. So make sure you guys are just hitting the like and subscribe button. Pretty decent crowd today. On the Monday evening, you got 1,000 plus watching us. If you could just take that like to view to like ratio a little higher, we really appreciate it because it helps us out. Cheers.
Yes, for that. LR. First one, we have a new YouTube member, Nigel the Crab. Welcome, Nigel. If you need details on how to join the Discord, email us at the fplwire@gmail.com. Next one,
I feel
Yogesh.
like I've spoken to Nigel on Twitter.
So have I.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm pretty sure he was also, I think, in a Discord at some point, but either way, we'll get him there soon. Yogesh, he's asking if his team needs a wildcard. He's got Rove, Stubb, Gabby, Timber, O'Reilly, Anderson, Rodon. Just by reading that very quickly, I'd say no. And I think we've discussed the reasons why. There are better opportunities when you want to sell some of these players you potentially own already, like your Cunha, Gordon, maybe even Foden, at around Gameweek 24. Next one.
Ropes is like one of those keepers. Yeah, sorry.
I'm saying the moment you said that's one of us at Wildcard, the entire chat was, I'm sure it's LR, I'm sure it's LR, I'm sure it's LR. Yeah. Go on, you were talking about Ropes.
No, I was just saying how he has gone under the radar, right? We've been fighting about like Sanchez, Verbruggen, Raya, Pope. This guy's just like top keeper this season.
He's actually the Daesh keeper that we all want. In terms of they concede shots from far, a lot of shots. He gets this 8-9 pointer regularly. He's that guy.
He's that guy. And this is always the argument for when people say pick a 4.5 keeper, not a premium keeper. The counter is you don't know who that is. You find out actually very late on that, oh, this was the guy that he was going to be. And then in hindsight, of course, he was the guy to get.
Yes.
Next one from Divay. Pras's attitude is top notch. Focus on the process and the results will follow. Kudos, Pras.
Yeah, meditative words, but thank you.
The next one, we've already discussed the super chat about him pulling the wild card. Next one is from B Rasta. Keep up the good work. Just wanted to say sorry to Pras for doubting your schedule pick, for your shadow pick rather. I will never doubt you again. Never
I
doubt
didn't go
Pras.
for him, so it doesn't count. I didn't get him myself. So when I was doing this whole process of what should I do? Shall I get Gordon? Shall I get Sade? I didn't get either, obviously. So, but Sade got the hat trick. So whoever went for him, even if you listened, that's good. Well done.
I mean, a lot of people, they like to validate content creator picks by saying that, like, oh, this guy should have bought him. But people play picks for different reasons, man. Now, let's say today a content creator can, let's say, like, for example, I use LR as an example, not exact one in this case. He could decide maybe I want to pick more Manchester United players. It's just how you derive enjoyment from the game. It doesn't mean that they thought that guy was a bad pick or this be a different pick. You play the game to get for different reasons. So I think you shouted him out. He did well. I think it's still very much valid.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, anyway, like it's a whole different topic. Like, given what we do in 1.5 hours, we've shouted about 20 things. So that's what I mean. Like, 5 will work, 15 also will not work. So I don't want to take credit for the Sade thing. Like, many people bought
Plus, you don't know the motto. All of the credit, none of the blame. That's how this works.
To be fair, we took the credit, the blame for the Rice to Gabriel move as well.
Why not? We blame Arteta for that. Next one from Rohit. Gents, would you swap Gehi or Nico O'Reilly to Everton or Newcastle defenders? I think it feels just a little bit late. I think for the Everton also, I think
the schedule.
Yeah. I think with Palace now, in fact, after this week, it gets a lot more comfortable for Palace in terms of schedule and personnel. This is the 1 week really have to ride out more.
Gehi maybe, because he might be your fourth City player and you might have to make a move anyway.
That would be interesting. Next one, Albus89. I have Giyu, KDH and Prolly Ekitike unavailable. Keane and Miley rotation doubts. 0 free transfers, 1 million after getting Gabriel. Take -4 to fix one of the above. I think Keane and Miley will both play. I don't think he needs to be worried about them necessarily.
Did Livramento not come on? You think Miley is safe?
I think, like I mentioned, he might play in midfield because he's played the big three guys the consecutive games now. I don't think he'll play them all three now.
Got it.
Because he was pretty much, I think, the best player. I watched that entire game. I think he will play now whenever available. He's like 19 years old. But I think maybe out of all of those, KDH he could potentially fix, but who would he really buy? He has 1 million. KDH he can take up to somebody who's 6-ish. Early 6. There's only Harry Wilson now because even Paqueta is out of the equation.
Paqueta is 50-50 to play this one, but yeah, I wouldn't really go there. 6.1 million. I don't see anybody.
There's not much. There's only Harry Wilson. We had the same discussion last week also.
I mean, again, very soon Ndiaye and Sarr will be back, but you want to obviously fix this week.
And again, it's going to be for a hit, and he's playing Chelsea this week, and then the fixtures after that aren't great for Fulham. I think just take it on the chin.
Yep, like probably my team. Like, it's not ideal. You probably have to play somebody who you don't want to play. Just close your eyes and pretend this game week never happened.
Absolutely. The last one from Thornfields. Could this be the week to go Saka to Rice and save money? There's an interesting...
we talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
We talked about it quite a bit. And for me, long term, it depends on which premiums you want to get. And the second factor is the double. Because I will be captaining Saka in that double. So if you want to captain someone else, it's up to you.
And the Saka haul is coming.
There was an interesting thread I read on Twitter.
Just while you mentioned that,
what?
Won't we be captaining Gabriel now? Like, is there a world in which we need to look elsewhere?
That's a good shout.
Genuine question.
Fair enough. I mean, if that's the opinion.
I'm just mentioning because you mentioned, and we're all aligned.
Gabriel still only has 3 goals this season. It just happened that he scored the last 2 in the last 2 games. So he's good, man. Like, I don't want to bring Gabriel down, but I just think with route to points, I would captain Saka in a double game. If I think he's starting both. Zoph'a made a good point that these days with Madueke, you're not even sure.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, yeah, Gabriel probably is the second best choice.
Yeah.
Really depends on people's view on minutes.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying because then it might influence our thinking, right? Because I won't be surprised if Gabriel is the most popular captain in that double game week.
Even more reason to have Saka.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think this is
As
a
a
point,
differential captain.
because
Yeah.
maybe a lame person would say this is a point chasing move. You're buying Rice just because he got points. But I read an interesting thread on Twitter earlier this morning about the difference between point chasing and pretty much buying good assets. You need to distinguish that a little bit, right? Like Rice obviously is not going to get 17 points every week, but he is still a good long-term pick. So if you feel confident in that move, I wouldn't call it point chasing at all. Do you guys agree?
Yeah. Yes, I agree. And he's a objectively good asset who might be on the verge of now unlocking his goal scoring potential too. We don't know that.
The last one is from Aranya. God bless the FPL Wire. Candles for an upward trajectory. Thank you, Aranya.
Next season now.
No, Pras,
Aranya's
plenty
candles
of
are
time
quite
left.
dangerous, I'll say that.
His candles are quite dangerous. That is true. Oh, fantastic. I thought we would keep this short. We've ended up going just about 90 minutes.
90 is good.
Yeah, man.
Flew by.
And so nice to just like chat with you guys, and it's been a while, and it's just a different vibe when I saw the Thoughts, and I'm happy that the band is back together. Nice to have you guys back.
Yes,
No,
and a
nice
bit of
to
a
chat.
break. Bit of a break now also. So I think we'll be back
We
now
don't
next
know
Tuesday.
when the pod is next Tuesday. If there's any content happening this week, if we have any guests or anything planned, or like a wildcard special something, then we'll let you guys know on X, or just keep your notifications on for this channel.
Fantastic. Any last words, boys?
Good luck. Take the pain, and you'll make your game.
Oh, what a line.
See you guys
Take care.
next week.